15 Controversial Stories in The Crown Season 5. Spoiler alert, for those who haven't seen the latest episodes of The Crown Season 5, this might be a spoiler for you. For those that have seen it, you would agree with me that there are a lot of controversial storylines you probably have issues with. This, of course, should never be surprising, since it's about the royal family. The recent release of the movie did generate many discussions, particularly among Britons and other mainstream fans. In this video, we'll discuss 15 highly controversial storylines in this series. Number 1. The emphasis on the aging queen. This is one of the controversial stories generating a lot of discussion currently on the internet. The latest episodes of The Crown Season 5 tells the story of how the late Queen Elizabeth II spent her life as she got older. The reason this is controversial may have to do with the fact that the Queen is no longer alive. After her death, the HMY Britannia became decommissioned. This created speculation on the Queen's legacy, as it offered a glimpse into how the Queen spent her life as she got older. The HMY housed the Queen personally during her lifetime. Number 2. Princess Diana's cooperation with the book written by Andrew Morton. The latest season of The Crown depicted Princess Diana, played by Elizabeth Debicki, who was looking lonely and anxious. The season depicted how Princess Diana cooperated with Andrew Morton. Before the release of these episodes, many royal fans were not able to visually conceptualize what transpired during Princess Diana's struggle and how it ended, as they relied on books as their major source of information. The latest season of The Crown helped fans shed more light on this controversy. It was considered a controversial moment for many, especially those who still had one or two reservations about the storyline. Number 3. The epic scene of Princess Diana's meeting with Mohammed Al Fayed. The stories that revolve around Diana are always touchy and heartfelt, and for this reason, they tend to raise eyebrows. The scene of the epic meeting between Princess Diana and Mohammed Al Fayed wasn't an exemption. The scene shows the visual glimpse of how the late princess met him. It was indeed an emotional moment for some who were so invested in knowing everything that transpired between Diana and the Al Fayed family. Although the scene, which was depicted in the third episode, was nothing short of fictional, it still triggered much controversy. The episode signaled a major turning point in the emotional outlook of the show as Princess Diana linked up with Mohammed. The scene shows the two getting to know each other and really connecting as the conversation continues. The peak of the episode was at an equestrian event when the Queen decided to avoid sitting with the Harrods owner, who happened to be the sponsor of the Royal Windsor Horse Show. During this scene, the Princess of Wales was sent to stand in for the Queen. Number 4. Prince Philip's short love spell with Penelope Nashville. This is another interesting scene from The Crown, because although it was no longer news that Prince Philip had a short affair, seeing it in the show was a different experience for many. Also, many didn't expect to see it featured in this season. The story was about how Prince Philip, played by Jonathan Pryce, developed feelings for Penny Nashville, played by Natasha McElhone. Mind you, Penny Nashville was married to his godson, Norton Nashville, who's also Lord Ramsay. Prince Philip and Penny Nashville became close after Leonora, the daughter of the Nashvilles, died as a result of cancer. The period of grief left Penny devastated. Prince Philip initially convinced her to start driving with him in an attempt to help her work through her grief. An innocent act initially, which unfortunately led to a bit of a scandal. Number 5. The Flame of Windsor Castle. This was one of the remarkable highlights of the movie. It was about the memorable Windsor Castle fire. The scene highlighted the Queen's despair after she got the news. Historically, the consequence of the flames, among other controversies, caused the Queen to declare Annus Horribilis, which in Latin means a horrible year. The incident in reality happened on November 20th, 1992. It was believed that a damaged spotlight ignited the curtain in the chapel. which caused a wildfire that spread almost immediately. The parts of the castle that were affected included Brunswick Tower, the private apartments, as well as 115 other rooms within the castle. It was recorded that there were at least 5 staff members who were injured as a result of the fire. To extinguish the fire, it was recorded that at least 220 firemen were involved for more than 15 hours. They used about 36 pumps to spray more than 1 million gallons of water. It cost the royal family more than $47 million to refurbish the building. Among other scenes in the brief storyline was the moment the Queen hugged Prince Philip at St. George's Hall. Number 6. The epic scene of the separation of Prince Charles and Princess Diana. The scene depicted a tense atmosphere when the Queen, Princess Diana, and Prince Charles met together to discuss Prince Charles and Princess Diana's decision to legally separate. This agreement was then announced by John Major, the then Prime Minister, played by Johnny Lee. In real life, the agreement was announced on the 10th of December, 1992. The scene was memorable as we viewed visually the fictional, emotional experience of all that transpired that day. Number 7. Tampon Gate comes to light. One of the more controversial scandals that rocked the royal family during the 1990s was Tampon Gate. Tampon Gate was about the leakage of the phone call transcripts between Prince Charles and Camilla, played by Olivia Williams, released in 1993, where he admitted to wanting to live inside her trousers and joked that he would like to be reincarnated as a tampon, hence the name of the scandal. It caused a lot of damage and further complicated Charles and Diana's public image. To date, no one knows who leaked the call, but the leak did cause a lot of damage to the royal family. The latest episode of The Crown showed us a glimpse of how the royal family handled the leak. The show tried to recreate emotional turmoil that resulted from the scandal in fine detail. Some viewers may have been disappointed in how the scene was portrayed, hoping for even more. However, it's more than 26 years since the incident, and many have changed their opinions on the scandal. People now seem to believe that the over-the-top press coverage involved was unnecessary. But of course, whether people believe the incident was blown out of proportion or not, you can always trust people to have varying views about it. Number 8. Charles' admission to cheating. Among the many controversial instances that were featured was the sensational revelation of Prince Charles admitting he cheated on Diana on national TV. This marked a major turning point in the relationship between the two and also caused public dissent against the royal family. This happened in the 5th episode of the season, and for some people who watched it happen live on TV and then relived it in the show, even for people who have just seen the scene, you would easily conclude that it was quite an uneasy watch, especially seeing the aftermath of that shocking confession. Although Prince Charles maintained since that interview that he's remained faithful, the damage was already done. Number 9. Princess Diana steps out in a revenge dress. Shortly after Prince Charles admitted to cheating on Princess Diana, people were waiting for her reaction. She definitely did not disappoint, and the show did a wonderful job of showcasing exactly how her revenge played out. It was a public statement that didn't require Diana to utter a word. Princess Diana's revenge dress. She wore it to a fundraising dinner hosted by Vanity Fair on June 29, 1994, at the Serpentine Gallery, a few days after Prince Charles' revelation. She showed up to the event wearing a black off-the-shoulder dress with an asymmetrical hemline designed by Christina Stambolian. Her entrance lasted for only about 30 seconds, but one of the photographers who captured her arrival said that she would likely have known a large number of photographers would be present at the event. Following the dinner, the dress was described as the "I'll show you" dress, the Serpentine cocktail, and the Vengeance dress. The dress was sold at an auction in July in 1997 for £39,098 by a couple who planned to use it to raise money for children's charities, a positive outcome from a not-so-positive situation. Number 10. Princess Diana gets interviewed by the BBC. This happens in the 8th episode of the season. The BBC crew, led by Martin Bashir, managed to secure an interview with Princess Diana. The interview featured Princess Diana talking about her struggles with mental health and her marriage. It rocked the royal family and generated empathy among the public. The interview took place in November 1995. This was the first time a member of the royal family openly discussed anything that happened behind closed doors. In the interview, she spoke from her heart and divulged intimate details of her marriage and life as a royal, including her struggles with postnatal depression, bulimia, and most shockingly, her husband's affair. Number 11. Prince Charles and Princess Diana's separation. The lead-up to the public separation of Charles and Diana was well documented in the second-last episode of Season 5 of The Crown. The episode shows the meeting between the couple and the Queen to discuss their marital troubles and documents how she stepped in to ensure both parties came to the mutual agreement before going public with the news. The royal family issued an official statement announcing the separation on December 9, 1992. Which was announced by British Prime Minister John Major. In a scene after the separation was announced, the two sat down over eggs to discuss their relationship candidly, where Diana admits she knew she never stood a chance. Number 12. The annual speech of the Queen. In this season of The Crown, we saw the infamous Annus Horribilis speech made by the Queen in 1992. This speech has gone down in history for all the wrong reasons and is said to have created as many problems for the royal family as it solved. 1992 was not a good year for the royal family, but the Queen in particular. In the spring, her son Prince Andrew announced his separation from his wife, Sarah. A few months later, Princess Anne divorced Captain Mark Phillips, her husband of 19 years. And in June, a biography of Princess Diana, Her True Story, was published with Diana's unofficial involvement, which contained lurid details of the tension between Charles and Diana. But the worst came on November 20th, when a fire broke out at Elizabeth's chief residence, Windsor Castle. Over 200 firefighters responded to the fire, which gutted St. George's Hall and destroyed several works of art. 2 days later, she gave her speech, where she described the year as being an annus horribilis for her. Since Latin was not a popular language, most had no idea that she meant horrible year, and the statement, which was meant to be a heartfelt sentiment, ended up completely missing its mark. Number 13. The increasing public dissent towards the royal family. Most of the 5th season of The Crown covers what happened to the royal family throughout the 1990s. This period was wrought with controversy heavily covered by the British media. During this period, almost every member of the royal family was in the news for one reason or another. Even the Queen and Prince Philip weren't safe. This public exposure and several scandals eventually left a stain on the British monarchy's perfect public image. This led to a growing public dissent against the family, particularly over the way they treated Princess Diana. For most of the 1990s, many Britons who weren't particularly interested in the royal family started to take interest in the developing drama, and they sided with Diana. Increasing public dissent led to more people calling for the abolishment of the British monarchy. Many believed the Queen had lost control of the royal family. Season 5 of The Crown was able to portray those scenes with a high degree of accuracy. Number 14. King Charles' portrayal. The then Prince Charles seemed to be the center of many of the controversies that occurred in the 90s. So it's no surprise that Prince Charles was front and center in this season of The Crown. Dominic West was cast to play Prince Charles, which is not exactly a visual hit, but Charles was also depicted as a sort of royal rock star, which was very far from the reality of the struggles he experienced, trying to capture the hearts of his country and step out from under the shadow of the Queen and Princess Diana. The Crown depicted Prince Charles as a charismatic, progressive thinker, pushing for change but trapped in the staleness of his family's old guard. Number 15. King Charles' private discussion with the Prime Minister. John Lee Miller played the role of the British Prime Minister, Sir John Major. The fifth season featured a closed-door discussion between Prince Charles and the then Prime Minister, Sir John Major. In this scene, Charles appears to be lobbying for his mother to abdicate the throne, referencing a poll that showed he was more popular than his mother. Charles in the show also referenced Queen Victoria keeping Edward VII waiting in the wings because she had no confidence in him, thinking he was dangerous and free-thinking. It's actually unknown whether this meeting actually happened. While it was rumored for years that the now King Charles III wanted his mother to abdicate, he never commented on this speculation. A spokesperson for the former Prime Minister also made it very clear that there was never any discussion between the two about any possible abdication of the late Queen Elizabeth II. In summary, The Crown Season 5 seems unbothered by the public outcry from celebrities and royal allies claiming it's based on incomplete secondhand reports. The royal family has requested that The Crown add a fiction disclaimer before each episode. Netflix has refused, saying it's widely understood The Crown is a work of fiction. And that's a wrap on the 15 controversial stories from The Crown Season 5. I'm sure you have one or two things to say. Let's get your thoughts and feedback in the comments section, and be sure to subscribe to our channel for more videos like this one.